Easy, everyone. This is Raf Molecular. I'm here with Harvey Creatures. Yo, how's it going?
Yeah, good man. How you doing? You all good?
Yeah, man, all good. It's a second snare talk. A bit nervous as the last time, but not as much now.
Good.
Not as much. So, how was your day, man? Still
Yeah,
working?
yeah. Still working at the moment. Not too bad. Just busy. You know, it's good to be busy at the moment. I think keeps your mind off everything. So, um, yeah, just had one of those
Yeah.
days. It was 9 and then it was 5:30. You know, so it's one of those. But what can you do?
Well, that's good, man. And then how do you keep up with everything? This is something that I think about actually for myself as well, because with all the different projects, I mean, you run a label, you work, you run Patreon, you still work on your music. So
Yeah.
how do you find time for everything?
I just have to. It's well, I don't really know. It's just like have to prioritize things, and that's it. You just have to work a way of like, what do I prioritize next? What needs to be done, and just make sure that you focus and do it. And like I said, you know, I kind of stop at about 10 o'clock every day, whether it's Monday or Sunday, and kind of have a bit of me time, like as long as I can, if
Yeah.
I can really. And I just find that I know that I've got a goal to like get everything sorted and finished by 10 o'clock, so I can have that time to myself and play some games or whatever, So just have a bit of a
Mm,
goal to like work towards and just keep like just doing all the things that you need to do really.
yeah. Do you also work on weekends with music and all of that?
Yeah. So I don't like I've obviously got a Monday to Friday 9 to 5 job, but on the weekends, then it's all music, teaching, or some form of work for the Patreon, if there is stuff going on for that, really. But yeah, most of the time it's just make some tunes and get in the studio and do some mix downs, really.
Nice, man. And speaking of the Patreon, how's it going for you? How's I mean, you started recently, so how what's the like feedback that you've been getting, and how's it going for you, man?
Yeah, it's good. It's one of those things. It takes a little while for things to build up. Like it's always going to naturally, but as a result of it taking a little bit of time for me to understand what I was doing, Patreon's not necessarily the easiest thing to get your head around. Number one, how to engage with people in the right way and all that kind of stuff. But I think I started in
Yeah,
November, December. One of the two was my first months. So only been going for a few months, and I've got 70 plus at the moment. So happy with the support that's
nice.
going
That's
there.
sick, man.
Yeah. So it does definitely sound like there's it's doing well. I get a lot of decent feedback from everyone that's in the Patreon, and I don't know. I just try and be. I do feel that I give my all to it, and I'm there at, like to answer any questions at any time and stuff like that. Like if you buy into it, it's for me to help you in every way I possibly can, and just by being there to answer any questions,
Yeah,
whether it's music related or you just want someone to kind of chat a bit of crap to because we're all locked down and bored and need to look after ourselves and pretty
yeah,
much available, So
yeah. And to be honest, I think that's the commitment that the patrons are looking for mostly. At least from what I see, like
yeah,
I mean, everyone will have their different types of videos and tutorials and different samples, but it's the way that you interact with the community, I think, and how much of you give to them. I think that's what
yeah,
they really look for in the end, because
yeah,
everyone is offering tutorials and all of that. I think it's the way that you interact with the community and how much of yourself you give into.
mm.
I think it's all about that in the end. Like
Yeah.
actually taking your time and speaking with everyone and answering everyone.
Yeah, 100%. I think they're special fans. That's what these people are, or people that want to buy into that like closeness of the artist. And you know, there's people out there that support our music and can send us messages and ask us for feedback and do all of that kind of stuff. But to actually give people a dedicated space that we give them our time, like you say, like I think that's it. Think back to when you were younger. If you were just getting into your production and like some of your favorite artists or people that you really looked up to in the music industry were offering these one-to-one or much more personal group sessions to watch their music and how they do things and give you access to stuff that
Yeah.
we didn't really have that stuff. I would have given all my money to see DLR and Break and all of those that do like these sort of things and just to be able to message them like, "Hi, bro." Like I haven't done anything, So,
Yeah, definitely, man.
so
I, I I think about that so much. I think like, well, it hasn't been so long since I started out. Like it's been like 5 or 10 years since both of us started, maybe
yeah, yeah,
around 5 years, I'd say, for both.
yeah,
And things have changed so much. Like back in the day, there
massively.
was like the forums were going down, I think, at the time, and YouTube was showing up.
Hmm.
There were guys like Seamless. I remember he was a big thing on YouTube for sound design and all of that stuff.
Mm.
But now you have patrons. Like it, most
Yeah, yeah,
artists have patrons now. I think that if you're one of the new guys in drum and bass who's putting out music, having a patron is almost like having an Instagram profile or having like a SoundCloud profile. Like I think with COVID and all of that, it makes sense for people to have it. As you said, they're special fans at the end of the day.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I
yeah,
think people like that, the fans like that, and the producers, the newcomers also like that. And it's amazing how things have changed. Like in 5 years now, you
yeah,
can go directly to the producer that you like, and you can pay a small fee to be like closer to them and see what they're
yeah.
doing inside their DAW.
And I also think
It's amazing.
there's a very high quality to the Patreon side of things because you're very proud of everything that you're putting out, and to, particularly myself, I think everything that I put on there needs to be stuff that I'd use in a tune myself. So the quality of samples compared to Vengeance, that like was what I think I had, at the time when I was younger.
Yeah.
It's massive, massive difference in quality. So like I think the entry to getting into production and being able to release music that's at a high enough quality to release on labels is much shorter than it would be from potentially when we started 6-7 years ago. Because I think,
Hmm.
I don't know, you didn't have quite as much access to high quality samples. Really, you had to, you know,
Yeah.
I think the general sound in general's come a long way as well. But just as a kind of a
Yeah.
weird observation.
Yeah, actually, I was talking with a friend today about this. Like, and you can see this in drum and bass now. Like, a lot of people care more about the what's it called, they care more about the technical aspects of the music rather than the vibe itself, and that makes sense because there's so much information now. There's so many tutorials, there's so many patrons, so many other stuff like patrons and tutorials, so stuff like you can subscribe to get access to exclusive videos from the top producers and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
And I think that in music that reflects in two main things: that basically there are loads of great newcomers showing up every day,
yeah.
and also people care more about the technicality rather than the vibe a little bit, I think, because there's just much more information.
Yeah, 100%. I think in some cases there is still that vibe leads everything. I think, particularly
Yeah.
in probably the more commercial side of the scene, it's all about, particularly the way that
Hmm.
bootlegs kind of took off and stuff. I think, people really love the vibe, and, that's true. But the production quality in general, and people's focus and attention on the detail within production has just, increased massively, like you're saying. So it's an interesting point,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah. 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 It's and I think it's something that we could talk for hours, because
Yeah, yeah.
I'm very like, I'm very philosophically into like the technical aspects, and should people care
Mm.
and should people not care. But then again, with so much information that there is out there, it's hard not to care about it, isn't it?
Yeah,
um
yeah. Yeah, I
so
know, but
yeah.
like, and then kind of taking it back to the Patreon thing, and the way that it's all linked together. Like, you've got access to that high quality now, though. Like, you don't necessarily have to have the knowledge because there's so many how-to videos as well that directly show you how to do things. I mean, I'm not sure about you, but I don't think I'd ever watched a tutorial video online until I'd been producing for at least sort of 3 years or so. And I just went and
Yeah.
because I did it through college, and kind of learned how to make really bad music for a year or so, and didn't really know what I was doing for a long, long time. And but there's people I know that if I played you a tune that I was a year in, you'd think like, wow, that's horrendous. And there's people that make on their first tune stuff that on year 3 I was struggling to make, and like technically it's just
Yeah,
really there. So
definitely.
I don't know. It's really interesting to see, and I love the accessibility of how many people can just get together a tune, and really like establish themselves in a couple of years as opposed to kind of longer journeys.
Yeah. And it even goes back to the guys that were here before us, because nowadays you've got everything inside your computer. You can make very nice tunes without any outboard gear, or even without
Yeah.
an expensive computer. But back in the day, like, processing power was weaker, plugins were expensive. There wasn't that many plugins. You even
Mm.
going back, you would need like analog stuff or hardware outboard gear, like, like emu samplers and the Mackie desks and all that stuff. Like, there was an entry level. You really had to dedicate yourself to buying that equipment or renting a studio or something to be
Yeah.
able to write some tunes. When nowadays
Yeah.
you've
Yeah.
got a computer, you can try. And I think that's sick, man. I think that's amazing, because nobody gets left out and everyone can come in and write tunes, and the scene just grows with it, I think.
Yeah, yeah. It's also kind of, with the technology of DJing as well and how far that's come along. It used to be, the only time I really got to go on decks was when I went to my dad's house because they were so expensive, or whatever. You only get to like kind of use them from time to time. Whereas now everyone, 50, 60 quid, it might not be the best in the world, but you can pick up a controller. Or you could just download Record Box and kind of use that and the DJ software that's built in it, and you don't even need to spend any money, and you can learn the basics of mixing
Yeah,
and
yeah,
how
yeah.
to do that kind of stuff, and it's just crazy. Like, I actually think I went to a party probably when I was like 16, 17. um well, I can remember it actually, out in Froome in a field, some in the middle of nowhere, some like illegal rave. And the whole party was run off a virtual DJ because nobody has any gear. But like, it's just like, imagine that. Like, imagine telling that to the vinyl heads. They
Yeah.
wouldn't be very pleased with me. But it was brilliant. And the software's been there for a little while, but it's kind of a lot more accessible now, which is great.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Well, let's move on to something else, because I think we could talk about this for a
Yeah.
while. You've
Sorry.
obviously got an EP coming out soon, an overview.
Yeah.
Um, so
Yeah.
I'd say, like, since you have a couple of collabs on the EP, it would be nice to see, like, what's the process during COVID and all, how, like, the process of writing tunes and collaborating online. I'd say maybe it wasn't online. Maybe you met up with someone in the studio, some of them in the studio. I don't know. So yeah, just generally what the process of writing the tunes with them, and then sending it over to the label and getting signed up and all of that.
Yeah, so it was a bit of a weird process actually, because some of the tunes are really old. So the one with Rizzle, I think, was a project that I wrote a little while ago, probably like 2 years, 18 months ago, something like that. Um, yeah, and kind of just sat on it for ages, and then sort of heard it again and was like, oh, it's cool, but I couldn't quite get it right. And I sent it to John, and John was just like, yes. And then he sent me it back within like literally a couple of days, like the basic full sketch of the tune. And I was like, oh, I loved it. There was one sound that we needed to get right, and then we got that correct, and we were really happy with it. Same thing with the Wings tune. I sent him some stems. I think they were really old. It's basically something that I couldn't get going, and didn't really know what I was going to progress with. He completely flipped them around. I think I had another go and sort of sent it back to him, and he just like, yeah, just kind of come together quite nicely. Took a little bit of time to get the mix downs right throughout this year. I think that was kind of the main challenge, was the mix downs, because using online to mix down things like Zoom and stuff like that. For instance, when I
Yeah,
was making the tune with Paul, Hadley, we like, we got the tunes finished and it sounded great and whatnot, and then we had a fair bit of back and forthing with the mastering engineer, really, and around the pre-masters to do with the sub, and it was kind of using Zoom and having a bad quality stream to share and create music together and do mix downs isn't really the best idea. So it was just
yeah,
about
yeah,
kind of tightening a few things up. So there was a few teething issues for sure with some of the software, and getting used to working from home like this with a shared screen. But actually,
yeah,
um, I find it really productive in terms of making tunes that way using
yeah,
Zoom and things. Like, you can get a lot done very quickly, um, as long as you kind of want to, and it does seem to work quite well. It's quite a focused
yeah.
way of doing things because it's just you and your laptop and someone else that you're normally not looking at, or they're just on the top of the screen, and it's just quite a focused viewpoint to watch, and kind of, it
Yeah,
just feels
yeah.
like you're making tunes on your
I'd
own.
say it's much more. Yeah, I'd say it's much more focused than rather being two people in the same
Yeah.
studio where you're switching seats and all of that. And I don't know, maybe I think it flows nicely in a way,
Mm.
because you're obviously in your own computers. It's like home for both of you. um,
Yeah.
the main
Yeah.
thing
Yeah.
that was a struggle for
Yeah.
me
100%.
when I was working with someone else in their studio was to have the same workflow speed that I have at home,
Yeah.
because it's just a different setup, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think, yeah, that's the big advantage of using Zoom and all of that.
Yeah, 100%. And it's great, and particularly using audio movers or some other sort of software to which allows you to stream, in higher quality alongside it, or Skype or something like that, which I think goes up a bit higher. So there's definitely ways around it that you can improve the quality and make it
Mm-hmm.
still work and perform to kind of a high way that you need it to perform at. But it just takes a bit of fiddling, to be honest. But it's definitely
Yeah, yeah. It takes.
I would say to
Go on.
like do it and not shy away from it. If it's something that people have been and thought about doing with a friend or something like that, and you just think, oh, I don't want to do it. If you haven't, I'd suggest giving it a go, because it is definitely a good way of writing music, and also feeling like you're not alone as well in this sort of horrible time. So
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely,
a way of doing things, I think.
definitely. And it might give you a little bit of headaches in the beginning, like in the first hours while you're trying to set it up, but in the end it pays off and finally get the setup going with the
Yeah,
right sound, the right video quality and everything. It's just so like satisfying to make the technology work right for you.
yeah, 100%.
It's amazing. Yeah, man. And regarding the EP, is there any specific like funny story about any of the tracks or any of the collabs? Anything? What's your favorite track? Anything in particular?
Um, I mean, the Gonzo transmission, like the title track, it's really cool to me. I love the tune, and I think that it come about a really cool way just because it was through Dub Wars, and obviously, basically, Joe did a vocal pack for the first Dub Wars season, which I got to use, and I just the whole week was just sending him messages about how amazing I thought his vocals were for the Dub Wars pack, and just like how he'd sorted it out really cool, and that we should jump on a tune afterwards. Um, and it just worked really well. And he sent me the vocals, and I kind of put the drums behind it and got the sub going, and was just like, this is a vibe. Like I've nailed what I was looking to do with his vocals, and like yeah, I love working with vocal tunes, but I think this is the first one since I did Concept with Blue Jay that's kind of still got as much
Mm,
creatures rollingness like that I like to kind of my sound in, um, but still have the kind of lead vocal as the like track and that sort of stuff. So yeah, I don't know why, but it's felt like it was really cool just to connect with someone through Dub Wars and kind of actually take something out of that competition, and
yeah,
take it outside of it.
yeah, and it's my favorite track as well. The Gonzo Transmission track is my favorite off the EP.
Cool.
Um,
Sounds.
and the Hadley collab is also amazing, man. It's just blows up. It's a massive roller with loads of mids,
Yeah.
which I like. So
Yeah, it's nice. And like I say about that tune, it was just like, just a bit weird. Like I think there's basically the sub on the horn sound or the kind of main respace, which it just like it was just too much, and then it was too little, and then there was none. Like I don't know how,
yeah,
but we just like because and I tell you why. I think to be honest, it was potentially because of how rich it is in the mids, that particular sound. That using headphones or like I've got when I'm at home and not in the studio, I've got pretty not the best monitoring for sub at all. So just kind of presumed that it was there, and like obviously I don't know, just had a couple of issues with it, but obviously we got it sounding perfect in the end and I think the masters that Hayden did on it sounded really really good and got it working perfectly. But yeah, it was just a bit of a weird situation to be in because it was just like how has this happened, and just through using Zoom it potentially caused some issues. But yeah, I don't know, but I love that
yeah,
tune. It's probably the one that I play the most off the EP, but Gonzo is probably the one that I sort of like the most, if that makes sense.
yeah. Off the EP, the Hadley tune is also the one that I've played the most. Well, there's no gigs, but in
Yeah, well,
recording
yeah.
sets and all of that.
Yeah,
It's the one that I play the most. But yeah, man, since you're talking about the mix downs, and you've already mentioned the mix down of this track and the issues with mastering and all of that.
Yeah.
Um, how would you say, like, when do you know like a track is finished for you, or like
So
when do you click and go, okay, like the track is done?
I I don't know. It's different points with different tunes, but there tends to be a point that I've listened to it on repeat 3 times and not picked anything out that I don't like about it. That says I'm ready to bounce it into stems and do the final mix down. Um, so I'd say that's it. And then from that point, anything that goes onto it once I've bounced it into stems, I see as kind of an extra boost, and probably get an extra 10% out of your mix downs by doing it. It's something that Ill Truth taught me a few years ago to do, and I've done it ever since, and it's made a massive, massive difference to the sort of levels of the production, just because you can visually see all of the audio and all of the issues and anything that needs to be sorted out. And then when you start getting rid and chopping all of that out, and then you basically strip silence the whole tune, yeah, it's probably done. Basically. But until that point,
Yeah,
I just want to. I actually need to visualize it and see all of the audio chopped and ready and in the right places, rather than leaving bits of MIDI or whatever in there. So, but yeah,
yeah, and but it is quite a bit of commitment. Like when you once you bounce it to audio to do the mix down, I'd say that then after that you don't go back to do like songwriting
no,
things and
that's it.
little bits and aspects.
Yeah,
Yeah, because that's it, right? Yeah, yeah. I haven't done mix downs that way in a while, but I understand that it is a nice way to work,
mm-hmm.
because I myself, when I work mostly with audio. I bounce everything to audio.
Yeah,
I like to see the waveforms and all of that, and just having a reference, like a visual reference,
yeah,
is much better than MIDI and all of that. It's like it's much better for me.
mm-hmm.
But it's also a big commitment. Like you don't go back; it's bounced.
Yeah. But at the same time, you can sit there and you can tweak it as much as you want, but it's probably not going to make that much of a difference. You're probably better off bouncing it out, looking at it and seeing what you need to do, and then doing drastic EQ and stuff like that at that point. Like, just get the harmonics out of it. If you're talking about bass or whatever, you know. But you don't want it to be perfect in the patch. I find I'm very big on resampling, and that's what I love doing. So I don't really care for building these super complex patches. I just like to get nice tones coming out of Serum, and then
Yeah,
utilize
yeah,
like
yeah,
loads of
definitely.
automation plugins to create all the things. So, but yeah, it's a bit off topic, but
Yeah, I'm
yeah,
all about that as well. Getting some nice harmonics to start with, and then just messing around with those harmonics and resampling and all of that. That's also my preferred way of working. Yeah,
yeah,
definitely. And yeah, would you say that you care too much about like the technical aspects of
I
things?
think so.
Um,
There's
yeah.
like Ben Green from Rebel will tell you there's probably 8 other tunes that he signed that I've deleted on purpose so they can't get released because I didn't like them anymore. And like they were good,
Mm,
they were tunes that should have probably come out and all of that stuff. And I just like they weren't technically good enough because I was at the time doing a lot of self teaching and sort of um, not research, but just kind of just experimenting loads and really pushing my sound. And a lot of the tunes I was making were just for fun and to just see what I could do, rather than actually seriously making tunes to release and showing them to Ben. He's like, "Yeah, that could go in the
mm,
next EP and whatnot." And it's like, no, 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 it can't. It's going to get deleted because it's not technically good enough. So I do think I'm my own worst enemy when it comes to that stuff, to be honest. But I do want to be a solid producer, and I think that technicality is what really drives the difference between the top boys and everyone else, really. So always strive to learn more with the production quality, and yeah, so yeah, definitely.
yeah,
It's an issue for me, I
yeah,
think.
yeah, yeah. For me as well. I'd say, from what we've chatted in the past, I'd say that you care a little bit more than what I do. Um,
Yeah.
I'd say so. There's nothing wrong with that. Everyone works with their own way. There's top guys that will care too much about it, and there's top guys that don't really care about it, because it's already like built in their way of working, I think. When you don't care too much about it and it sounds good, I think it's already kind of built in the way that you work,
Yeah.
like a subconscious way of working, like not doing things that will run the technicality aspect of it. It's already kind of built in the workflow.
Yeah.
That's my point of view on things.
Hmm.
But then again, it's quite a weird thing, because like today we release a tune today. Imagine we release a tune today, and we consider it to be like the best thing that we can do technically today. And then in one or
Yeah,
2 years, we've learned so much from making more
yeah.
music and practicing more and all of that. Would you be looking back at the track and saying like, fuck, I shouldn't have put this out? It's not
No,
I don't want it associated with my name and all of that.
yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say that, but I'm a big, culprit of putting too much music out. It's been my one. I don't know if it's a downfall or if it's got me noticed or what. But last year there was somewhere between 45 and 55 tunes that I released. That's one basically every week. It's not necessary. So like, it's got to that stage. I felt that some of the tunes were getting muddled up and stuff like that, and some of them weren't technically as strong as others because of whatever reason, just because of where I was mixing them down. I didn't have a studio at the time. I was just using headphones or the monitors in here or whatever it is. But the one thing I would say is like any of the tunes that I've released for because I like the tunes, and I will go and listen to some tunes that are 4 or 5 years old and I do still like them, and I'd love to revamp them all and like make them sound better, but I'm really crap at
Yeah,
keeping hold of projects, so I can't. But it's just one of those things, really. But you know, yeah, I don't know. I don't think that at all, but I do I like because I like going through artists and seeing their progress and seeing where they were 5 years
yeah,
ago and going,
definitely.
oh,
Yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah,
attainable. I don't like it when an artist deletes all of their music from the history and it's just like, this is my only
yeah,
tune
yeah,
that I've
yeah,
ever
yeah,
released,
yeah.
and it's like, well, yeah, but yeah, I don't know. I get, yeah,
Nice, man. It's a weird thing to talk about, because like every single person will have their own mind into it. Like, and we're talking about our art as well. So every single
yeah,
artist will have their view on their own art, you know. And you were
yeah, yeah,
saying you've put out a lot of music last year. Um, Last year was also the year that I've put out the most music, since I started releasing back in 2016. And it was definitely my biggest year.
mm, yeah,
But I
yeah.
think that at a certain
You smashed
point,
it.
consistency is key. Cheers, man. um, I think that when you're starting out, consistency is key. Like being consistent, like putting out music like every month
Yeah,
or every 2 months or so, so you can get attention and all of that. And obviously, it has to be good music, you know.
yeah,
I think it is
yeah,
very
100%.
important. And you were saying like when people go back and delete all of their music from their profile. Um, I still have a couple of weird tunes on my profile that was like from 7 years ago or 8 years ago. That's
Yeah,
super weird. You know, like back in the day, I used to put on my SoundCloud. I used to upload like whips, like work in progresses and stuff like that. Like
yeah,
anything that
yeah.
sounded
Same.
good
Yeah,
to my ear, I would upload instantly and see what the guys were saying and all of that.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, some of them are still there. I think it's fun for if a fan finds you like, and they want to get it's my perspective, because when I really like an artist, when I find a new artist that I really like when I'm a fan, basically, I want to hear everything they've done. I
yeah,
want to hear
yeah. That's
the
it. Yeah,
first single thing they put out.
yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
so I can
So
like get a sense to this guy started here and now is making this and all of that. Yeah, I think it's a fun thing to do.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, and I've got another SoundCloud account which has got all my old dubstep bangers on. So you won't
Mm.
find it either. It's got like
Oh,
70 followers.
oh.
But I created a new SoundCloud and stuff when we launched the Creatures stuff and did that, and kind of tried to
Yeah.
keep it all the whatever you call professional on SoundCloud or whatever, and just have the releases on
Yeah,
there.
I also had another profile which was for like techno stuff and just weird shit that I
Yeah,
made. Like I was a lot into glitch hop back in the day when it
yeah,
started out in the trend of glitch hop. I was a
wicked.
lot into it before getting like settling in drum and bass. So I also had a profile for that. I haven't opened that profile in like 3 or 4 years, so
I need
it's
to
just
find
there.
it.
Yeah. All right, man. I was thinking we could just do some questions that I kind of like to. I was hoping to do these questions to every single guest, kind of like make it the the trend or like the brand of the Snare Talk. Just a couple of
Yeah.
questions, very fast questions, and then we move
Yep.
on to the patron guys questions. So basically, the first one would be, if you only have one thing to use as processing on a snare, to like any like plugin or any effect type of effect, any processing thing, what would it be?
The Crave
What would you
EQ.
do? Which one would you use?
The Crave EQ.
Creative EQ? The Crave
Create
EQ? Yeah, nice.
Crave. Yeah, it's got an auto
The
gain
Crave one from
compensation.
oh, okay.
I think they're called
Okay.
Crave. I think that's the name of the company. I'll find out. But yeah, it's called the Crave EQ. It's absolutely amazing. It's got an automatic gain compensation. So when I chop my snares at around like 450 and then boost the Q, it also then adds a little bit of warmth through the auto gain comp, and it just makes them
Mm,
really nice and crispy in that sort of range, and adds a little bit more low.
nice.
So yeah, I can't make snares without them. But if you just gave me that, I could make a snare sound alright.
Nice. Actually, I'll be honest. I wasn't expecting you to say something like an EQ. But yeah, nice one. Nice one. Nice one. And moving on. The next thing is, what is your favorite, if you have any? What is your favorite funk break?
Uh, I don't know. I love the funky drummer. I can't lie. It's just got the original like role that everyone replicates
Yeah.
with, like, particularly in minimal drum and bass. It seems to have the same shuffle replicated, but with all these different tight bits of percussion, weird kind of different ways. But yeah, I don't know. It's just the one that it's probably the only break that is from the classics collection that you'd ever hear of one of my tunes.
Hmm. I think it's the one that has the most different samples, right? It has like a very specific snare. It has loads of different
Yeah,
ghost hits. So there's quite a lot of things to pick up from there. Yeah,
yeah. But to be
and it
fair,
works very well in minimal as well because it's very fast and choppy, and so
yeah, yeah. But to be fair, I don't really use many classic bashy breaks. I like to use tight single hits to create shuffles and stuff. So
yeah.
they're not really things that I use too much, but um, I do love that break.
All right, man. So I would say we get on to the patrons guys questions. I've got a couple here, so let's start with the first one. OG65 asked, most used VST that you use for effects.
At the moment, it's got to be Portal. Before that would probably be Guitar Rig or something like that, or the RC20 plugin, which has got all of the weird sort of
Mm,
noise
yeah,
modulation on there. So those three would be my top three.
nice, nice. Portal is amazing. I tried the demo and it just like using it on pads and musical stuff. It's amazing.
It's great for bass edits as well and just
Yeah.
getting really weird sounds. It's on the
Oh,
Splice
nice.
purchase or rent to own as well now. If you didn't know that,
Yeah,
so
rent to
it's
own.
like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
$7.99 a month.
That's where I demoed it.
Mm.
That's where I demoed it. It was on Splice.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah. Next one, we've got low profile asking the best advice that you could give, the best single advice that you could give for someone that's just starting out making music.
Um, I'd say there's two things actually, and sorry if you only wanted one, but one is work quietly. Loudness doesn't matter. Make sure you're not redlining. So like, make sure that you're working to a nice quiet volume, -6, -12, something like that. Just so you've got everything that you're listening to is a true sort of playback of what you're actually doing, and there's no interference. But two, most importantly, do not worry about using samples. Do not worry about anything, making anything from scratch. Don't worry about any of that. If you're just starting out, get a load of samples and write a tune with just samples and just get
Definitely.
used to the idea of arrangement. That's the most important thing. After that point, you can learn the rest of it, but just get used to writing tunes with samples, and arrangement is key. So I'd say that that's the most important thing to any newcomer, is just like, don't listen to anybody telling you, oh, you've got to make this, you make that. Just don't worry about it until you're comfortable writing a full tune that's got all the effects, all of the rises, the pads, like the intros, the vibes, bass, the drums, everything that needs to be in there, as well as edits and stuff. you don't even really want to worry about, serum and that kind of stuff. You can learn it all at any point in your career.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Definitely. And I would also say like having samples to begin with while you're starting out, just as a nice way to like creativity, arrangement, like looking at just looking at the sample and grabbing ideas, see what is good, what it isn't. Just using samples when you're beginning is just it makes more sense for me. I think it's
Yeah.
a huge help. I would say it's a huge help. I would say like messing around with samples and like you said, building a full tune with just samples, just so you can start to grab an idea of the arrangement and how arrangement works and like the grid and all of that thing,
Yeah.
um, and making a DJ friendly track because arrangement is key. Like you said, yeah, man, nice tip actually, very nice tip.
Cheers.
Next up, we've got Rahul with how did you get into music production, and also what genre of music do you listen outside drum and bass?
So I got into sort of producing. So my dad's a DJ, and um, like I've been on his vinyl case, like using decks since I was about sorry, 2 seconds. Since I was about four.
Ah, good man. Mm-hmm.
Um, and then as a result of that, I kind of just started DJing really young. Not drum and bass; it was all hip hop and stuff like that. But after a little while, got into drum and bass. Sort of young teens, that sort of stuff. Started listening to loads of Jump Up, listening to Cool London, um, and all of that stuff, and just going to loads of free parties. And just from that point, my uncle started showing me Fruity Loops, and we like remixed like a Hamlet advert or something like that, and made a jungle like version of some weird classic tune. And I just fell in love with it immediately, and then went to college when I was 16, and then yeah, that was it. So just been gone since then. What was
Nice
the other
man.
question again? Sorry.
What genres of music you listen outside drum and bass?
Oh right. So a bit of everything really. Mostly kind of hip hop, lo-fi beats, but just yeah, loads and loads of English hip hop. I write loads of instrumentals and stuff as well, and do all that kind of stuff. I just love British hip hop. Don't really like American hip hop. So it's just pretty much all English hip hop. Do you know what I mean? But just loads and loads and loads of it. So yeah, that. And then my mum's an old school house raver, so I've got a big love for like 90s house and noughties garage. So that sort of thing, really.
Man, that is sick that you have such a big influence in your family for music. That's amazing. That is
Yeah,
amazing.
it's great. And like the only none of them ever really did anything. They just loved to get fucked and go to parties. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you can't really like that. But my dad, my dad was a DJ, and he, played with loads of big DJs in the drum and bass scene, and went to like Italy touring and doing like drum and bass gigs when it was all vinyl and kind of liquidy stuff. So yeah, and my uncle, he was running nights, and he did a bit of house DJing and stuff, but nobody ever really massive, but they all just loved it. And I guess I had a lot of people that were doing different things. My mum still wishes I was a house producer and stuff, but I'm not.
Oh man. Well, if you were moving into house, maybe your dad would be like, "Hey, can you? I wish you'd make drum and bass now."
Yeah, that would be what it would be. So it's just like, what can I do anyway? There's no way you can win. So, but yeah,
Yeah,
I've definitely picked the one that earns the
that's
least
nice.
money, though. If I'm being honest.
Yeah, yeah. Well, but that's nice, man. I'm happy to know that people in your family are into music and all of that.
Yeah,
That's a nice
my
thing.
little brother's just getting into production and
Next
stuff.
one.
So there's going to be more. I think it's going to be a thing now that they all want to do it.
Yeah, yeah.
I've got
Creatures
six brothers,
family.
so yeah, there's going to be a lot of producers coming out of the Creatures camp.
Yeah, yeah. Well, didn't you mention that you have a brother that was making hip hop as well?
Um, yeah, he's like doing all sorts of stuff. Really, he's just getting into it at the moment. He's 18, not quite found
That's
his
nice,
music
man. That's
identity
super
yet.
nice.
But yeah, it's good to
Yeah,
see.
that's super nice, man. All right, bro. Next one, we've got Connor with your typical kick processing, or just your favorite thing to beef up a kick.
Disperser. It's the
Disperser. Is
absolute
that the
dog dada
thing
for
from?
kicks.
Is that the
Kilohertz.
thing from kilohertz? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Just don't put it on the fundamental frequency. Put it on the secondary or third, and don't boost it too much. But it will just add some really nice digital weight, and I use it on every single kick ever. So there you go. There's my tip for kicks.
Nice, nice one. I grabbed it when I think like I saw that Noisia posted something about it back in the day when it got released, and
Oh right.
I think it was Noisia actually. So I instantly grabbed it. But I haven't really used it now. I use it on breaks. I don't think I used it a lot on single hits. Probably
Um,
maybe I did use it on kicks. I don't really remember.
Kicks and 808s. If you want some extra kind of like pinch from the top end, like on the glide for your 808s, it's really good for that.
Yeah, nice tip, man. Um, right, so we're moving on to question from sort of vague. Is asking if you could collab with anyone like right now, who would it be?
Um, I know. I don't know. Like everyone says, skeptical, Alex Perez, and whatever, and obviously we'd all love to do that. But if we're talking something that might potentially happen one day, I'd love to collab with Guest or Jarrah and Stone, as they're known. I love their
Yeah,
music, and yeah, just something that potentially I could try and pattern, or like beg for.
nice,
But
nice.
yeah, I'd love to make two of those guys.
Nice, man. Well, just a fun curiosity. My second vinyl record that I bought myself was a Garen Stone thing. On
Was it
Dispatch.
was it tenfold and backhand?
No, no, no,
No,
no, no.
that
I
was
don't
my
think.
favorite
I
release on
think.
Dispatch from them.
No, it wasn't that. I can't really remember the name of the release it was, but it was Garen Stone on Dispatch.
Hmm.
But yeah, just a nice little curiosity thing. OG65 again. He asks any advices for the rookies, like to get tunes noticed and to start building a following.
Be professional, like in every
Mm,
way or sense or possible way that you can. Just remember, like this is a business, and you've got people at the very top that are earning a load of money from it, and they're doing all of these things to kind of drive what they're doing. Like we don't ever really see them in the drum and bass scene, but there is people doing that, and at the very, not the bottom, in a horrible way. But then you've got the other side of the spectrum, which is people that are earning no money, and they're only just starting out. So you've got, it's not all about money, but when it comes to business, people want to see that professionalism and like just, I don't know, you've got an image, you've got a brand, and you do that stuff that looks cool for your socials and for that, and that's great. That helps build your following. But when speaking to label managers, when speaking to any of those people, you don't want to yo mate or any of that. Hi, first name, and like actually write your emails properly to them. Don't spam people with WeTransfer because it's crap and it deletes in 7 days, and like nobody ever listens to like those tunes, unfortunately, and it's just one of the big downfalls of the industry. Start using a drive, get a nice neat little box, and send things over the right way to people. And yeah, I just think just looking neat and tidy and like you know what you're doing, you're not just a kid or just someone who's desperate for a release and stuff, can really help, and portray yourself in the right light, if that makes sense.
yeah, nice tip with the we transfer thing, because I with forbidden frequencies with the channel we get loads of we transfer things.
Mm.
And obviously we've got loads of emails every day, so we cannot check everything every day, and when we go and check that we transfer link, most of the times it's already gone.
It's dead.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
That's like there's people
having a
that have
nice
sent me
little
tunes that,
drive.
like tunes to listen to, and they've sent them across, and it's like yeah, I'll have a listen to it, and then like you say, when you actually go and listen to it, it's gone, and I'm not then gonna like without being rude, like you know how busy some of us are right now, particularly with working and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not going to message people out of the way to, can you re-upload the link so I can listen and give you some feedback? Like it doesn't, you know, or give you know, or whatever it is for. So just try and make it as easy as possible for the person to just click and listen to your tunes and go, that was wicked, and give you a
Yeah.
call, and then go
Yeah.
from there.
And also having a drive or having a Dropbox thing set up, it's nice because you can send people your stuff and it doesn't get deleted after 7 days. And it's also
Yeah,
nice because you can back up everything, every single one of your files. um, I've got a
yeah,
virus attack in August and I lost almost everything, because I didn't have a drive set up back in the day. So having a drive set up, it's massive because you can send people your stuff and you can also keep your things safe.
yeah.
So yes, set up a drive, guys.
Yeah, yeah. It also you can just link it to a folder directly from either your laptop, like desktop, or from your computer
Yeah.
documents, whatever it is, and you just upload that, and it immediately uploads it there. And I don't know, it's just like you can also look nice if once you start releasing, look at your release schedule, nice and tidy in this folder. And I don't know, I'm really crap at making everything look neat and tidy. Like you know, you've got a lovely board in the back, it's got all of your collabs on and what you need to finish, but I'm not very good at that stuff. I just have to try and remember what's next. So like you know, it helps having it all in one place and looking at it all nice and neat.
Yeah, I have to have visual things. Like I have a calendar, I have the whiteboard, I have a calendar where I have like a list to do like stuff that I need to do because I forget about things. So it needs to be
Yeah,
right there so I know that I have something to do. What is it? And it's there. Okay, cool. Nice.
yeah,
And with folders, yeah, I don't organize that much, just in a way that I don't lose my files because I don't know where I put them. Um
mm,
I just try not to have like my desktop filled with different files, like instead of being inside folders.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, that's that. All right, man. Last question. It's from Brandon King, and this is a simple one. What's your
Right.
favorite breakfast?
What's my favourite breakfast? It's got to be the full English baguette. Like, actually, nah, it's not. Nah, it's not. It's just a complete full English, just like not in a baguette, just like with beans and mushrooms and sausages and just the full works. It all
Nice.
and coffee.
With the eggs and all of that stuff.
Loads of eggs, scrambled or fried.
Oh man. I love the English breakfast myself, with scrambled eggs, bacon, beans,
Yeah.
mushrooms, you
Oh,
name it, man. I love
hash
it.
browns. Don't forget the hash browns.
I don't even know what that is, man.
Wait, what? You don't know what hash brown is?
I don't even know what. Yeah, no, I don't know. Is that an English thing?
Well, it's like, yeah, well, I guess it is. Yeah, it's like a little triangle shaped thing with, I think it's onion and potato. So it's like a potato waffle type thing, but with onion, and then it's inside. Just have a look.
Hash
You must
browns.
have you not ever heard of a hash brown? Like, well, I guess if it's an English thing, but I'm not sure if it is or not.
Is it like a crumpet kind of thing?
A crumpet? No, no, not at all. It's more like a jacket
Oh,
potato.
I see what it is. Oh yeah, I see what it is. No, we don't have that here. We don't have that, man.
That's crazy,
It's not
mate.
a thing here.
When you come to England, like either to gig or whatever, I'll get you a hash brown. They do it at McDonald's with their breakfast. So if you get a McDonald's breakfast, they give
Really?
you a burger and a hash brown.
Yeah. Fucking hell. It looks a lot like chicken nuggets from McDonald's.
Yeah, yeah. It's that sort of breaded sort of um, batter, and then it's just potato and onion. I think it's lovely. I get,
Nice,
mate, on
man.
top of a
Nice,
burger as
man.
well. If you get a chicken burger, you need a hash brown and mayo, and just yeah. Like, mate, hash browns are going to change your life, Raf. I'm honestly like, this is about to be a big upgrade for you.
I'll have to make them myself, man.
That's it.
I love baking and cooking, so I'll just make some hash browns myself. I'll check the
There you go.
recipe and I'll just cook some hash browns. Yeah. You know what else is a British thing that's not here in Portugal that I love? It's crumpets. That's why I
Yeah,
asked if it was like crumpet.
Yeah. Well,
I love crumpets, man.
crumpets are, I don't know. I love a crumpet and then I hate a crumpet. So like I don't know. It depends. Like get up a savoury crumpet with some ham and cheese, a bit of butter, banging. Like particularly for like mid to late breakfast, so at 11 o'clock. But if it's like 7, 8 o'clock, actually, if it's like 2 o'clock in the morning, you're melting into your sofa, Nutella crumpets. Now, it's like that's why I love them. But then sometimes they're just like I don't know, horrendous. And you just have one at the wrong time, and it's like, oh, what have I done? But crumpets are a good thing, so
Oh
that's good.
man, creatures with the breakfast and the crumpets guide.
Yeah, well, look, I'm Cornish, so we eat loads of weird stuff like pasties and all of those things. Like my mum makes me proper original pasties, like Cornish pasties with crimps in the middle. So we have like steak and potato on one side, and on the other side you've
Hmm.
got jam roly poly, and it's just got a crimp in the middle.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's just like one
Yeah.
big thing,
Yeah.
So it's mad. But yeah. So I don't know why I told you
All
that.
right, man. That was a nice little ending with the
Yeah.
with the food section. And now I'm kind of hungry now.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm gonna have to get a burger with a hash brown.
Yeah. The hash brown. I'm gonna try some. I'm gonna have to make some and see if they're like you say, see if they're the burger thing or the breakfast thing.
Trust me.
But yeah, man. Anyways, your EP on overview. Just before we wrap it up, your EP on overview, Gonzo Transmission EP. When is it gonna come out?
It's out on Friday the 26th, so it's next Friday. And yeah,
Okay.
just go and grab it and support, man. It's been a long time coming. It's the first big EP of the year, and it's got me, Wings, Rizzle, Hadley, Joe Raygun, and Volatile Cycle. So yeah, I enjoyed making this, and I think it's what without slagging off my previous releases and sounding like a knob, I think it's my best work yet. So, you know,
Nice man, nice man. Yeah, go support Gonzo Transmission EP out on overview. It should be probably out once this is up, but if it isn't, it should be in pre-order at least. So,
yeah,
yeah, go full support on Harvey Creatures. And man, thank you for coming. It was very nice. Flowed quite nicely, actually.
yeah. Thanks for having me, man. I
Thank you for
appreciate
having me. Nice
it.
one, bro. All right, man. Any last thing that you want to say before I close off the thing?
No, just big ups, man. Like, just it's nice to chat to you and sort of have a conversation. I know, obviously, we play games together and whatnot on the Egg Squad, but
Egg
it's all
Squad,
good.
man.
So
Big ups the
yeah,
Egg Squad.
big up all the Egg Gang, and everyone's joining slowly as well, aren't they? If you've noticed, we're growing. But yeah,
Yeah.
just thanks for having me. And obviously watch out for the Patreon if anyone wants any support and stuff, sort of direct and one-to-one lessons and stuff. Then reach out. I'm happy to help anyone. Really, got some time at the moment, so yeah.
Nice
But yeah,
chat. Nice chat. All right, man. I'm gonna wrap it. Thank you everyone for watching. And this was Molecular, the Snare Talk with Harvey Creatures. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
big up.
Here's the first motion picture to offer to the daring.